Over the past week, the war in Ukraine has intensified as Russia has closed in on major cities around the country, including the capital of Kyiv. Vladimir Putin has refused to back down even as nations around the world have implemented crippling sanctions against Moscow. Where is this war going now that the conflict has reached its second week? How might it escalate, and what would it take for Putin to concede? Last Thursday, Russia launched an air, land, and sea incursion into Ukraine after months of mounting tensions and military buildup along the border. Thus far, Russia has refused to call it an invasion, opting instead to label the offensive as a special military operation, intended to bring Ukraine under control of a pro-Russian government. Recent discussions around Ukraine's potential to join NATO sent Moscow over the edge as it perceives such efforts as aggressive expansionism encroaching on its border. Russian President Vladimir Putin has labeled the Ukrainian government as neo-Nazis and has accused President Volodymyr Zelensky of genocide against Russian-speaking populations in the east. Kyiv is countered by initiating lawsuits against Russia, accusing it of genocide against Ukrainians. As of last weekend, Russian troops had overrun Chernobyl, as well as the cities of Kherson and Berdyansk in the southeast, with forces mere miles away from the capital of Kyiv. Missile strikes and bombings have been reported on gas pipelines and military infrastructure. Over 200 have died in the fighting so far, many of whom are civilians, causing a surge of Ukrainians to flee the country. The European Commission has ordered member nations to grant asylum for Ukrainian refugees for 3 years. With 300,000 displaced Ukrainians having fled to Europe since the invasion, another 4 million are expected to follow. The international community's response has been heavy condemnation, backed up by sanctions on Russia and support for Ukraine. The US and EU have approved the release of hundreds of millions in arms sales, as well as humanitarian aid. Moreover, Russian aircraft have been banned from EU airspace, in addition to measures freezing the assets of Putin and a few dozen other Russian oligarchs. The US and Western allies cut Russia off from SWIFT, a crucial communications network used by international financial institutions to facilitate transactions. Because significant amounts of Russian financial activity occur through SWIFT, the ruble will likely take a hit in the short term. Although retaliatory steps have been taken, the EU is still heavily dependent on Russian energy exports, which will hinder any attempt to truly rein in Russia's return to a Cold War degree of influence in Europe.